Um, Quick agenda. This is all pretty much stuff you see every time. Our members, how to contact us. Uh, for tonight, pretty much a quick run through. We have some announcements in our business. I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming Mac election, look at some review of the picnic. Robert has something to share. And then we'll get to Kelly as soon as we can. I think this is padded a little bit, so I don't think it's going to be as long as 7:45. I was guessing. Same old officers. We have a lot of people performing voluntary support to the chat, to the uh, gap act. Oh, jeez. I don't know if the cough is residual from COVID or if I've got allergies or both. As always, we record the meetings and put them on our YouTube channel. So if you ever want to go back and revisit them, they should be there. Okay, why am I? Okay, there we go. Help desk, we've just gone through half an hour of our help desk time. I don't think anyone really had any questions tonight. So we just kind of BS'd, which we're good at. News of the interest, the only thing I have, and this was mentioned earlier, we do have some discounts through the World Mac User Group, our organization, and we do for Take Control books, we get a normal 30% off. So if you need the code for that, let me know. We're always asking for those of you in the audience to share a tip. We all each know so many things. Some of them are something we just think everybody knows, but we don't. So if you have something to share, let us know and we'll work you into a future meeting.
What?
Annual election. First up, I announced at the picnic that I was not running for re-election as president. So we are looking for people, some of our members, to step up to be a potential board member. So if you are interested, please contact me or one of the other board members. Looking ahead in the election cycle, the election is announced in September this month. So we're effectively doing it right now. The election nominations will occur in October, which is where we need you to step up and say, I would like to volunteer. The voting will occur in November, and our installation of officers will be at the December meeting. Quick look at the picnic. I think, and Tom can correct me, the attendance topped at 21. We had hoped for 30. We had 30 people say they were going to come, but we had a lot of no-shows. But saying that, Tom and Nancy did a great job of putting together another picnic. And I know you had several other people assist you with getting things organized.
The other Tom and Tom Morris and Jim Wynn were also on the committee, and they did good work.
Yes, it was a very nice event. Good food, lots of food. I think I took home enough because we had so much extra. I've had lunch on it twice. So
did we.
it was good food, and it was, as someone already said, it was really nice to be able to see people and talk to them in person. So many I hadn't seen since the picnic a year and a half ago. So it was a nice event. And of course, as someone already said, Nancy subjected us to one of her trivia contests. I can't remember how many questions were on it, but the winning number was 16. I think we got 12.
There were 19 questions.
No, there were 20.
Well, there were a lot of them that I had no clue on. So she did her best to befuddle us. The only thing I could say in retrospect is I wish more people had shown up. Tara Weaver took several photos. Some of those I got here in this slide and in the next couple. I'll just kind of go through them as you see the group together, getting food, sitting, eating, and so forth. But it was a nice event, and I think everyone that was there really enjoyed it. So unless there's any questions on things that I've talked about, I'm going to turn it over now to, and Tom or Nancy, did you want to share anything more about the picnic?
No, but it was fun.
It was.
I agree with Nancy.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Robert to share what he has on an Apple support page. And then we'll get to Kelly about 30 minutes ahead of my planned schedule.
Well, what I wanted to talk about real briefly was that one of my favorite podcasts is Mac Geek Gab podcast that Dave Hamilton and Pilot Pete and Adam Christensen do. That one of the things about their podcast is they always have 5 new things to learn. And one of the things they mentioned a podcast or 2 back, I thought might be of interest to the club, because a lot of times when you want to update an operating system, we know that you can get the current operating system, you can download it from the App Store, and you can sometimes if you've got an older machine, you might be able to download just the latest one that it'll take. I thought there's actually an Apple support document, and I'll put this in the notes later to link to it, but it's document 102-662 that was put out in April of 2024, and it talks about links to downloads to the various operating systems. And as it turns out, there are, well, let me get back to it. In the App Store, there's actually still links to the older operating systems from Ventura down to High Sierra, as well as the current one, Sonoma, which is about to be the older one now. And further down in the document, they have links from Sierra down to Lion for downloads of the disk image files for those operating systems. And I just thought with the club, a lot of times people have older machines with older operating systems. It might be useful for people to know that that support document exists, and that those links exist to get those older operating systems and to be able to download them.
Yeah.
So I'll put that link in the in the chat, and I'll also put it on the website underneath the video, like I normally put stuff. And I'll also mention that that there's a lot of good information in the Apple support documentation that's searchable. So there may be a lot of things in there when you're looking for stuff that you may find helpful. And that's really all I got to say, unless somebody has a question, which hopefully you don't.
Thank you, Robert. That's interesting information to have. Well, I guess at this point, I'm going to say, Nathan, introduce our speaker and let's have the primary program.
Well, I mainly know Kelly as a podcaster, and she is a writer as well. I don't know what her day job is, but I first heard Kelly give lost recaps on the Delta Park project back in the mid 2000s.
Oh my gosh.
That was my first time hearing.
Okay.
But I've been following you ever since. So please welcome Kelly Guimont to talk about the Apple event yesterday.
Hey, everybody. I just, for the people who are here on camera, show of hands, who all watched the event yesterday? Okay, so I'm gonna give kind of an overview of some of the things, and then if people want more detail, give me a shout, wave your hand, get on camera and wave at me, or throw something in the chat. I don't want to stand here and lecture you, so I want to make sure I'm giving people the information that they're looking for. I'm still thinking about the Delta Park project. That's really funny. So the primary things to come out of this were like one of my takeaways, having watched a whole lot of these, is that we got extra things at the iPhone event, and that doesn't usually happen. So I thought that was interesting. So we started with those before we sort of got to the main event. The first was new Apple Watch, which is Series 10. It's going to be even more screen than the Ultra has now. So, if you don't feel like you've achieved full wrist slab yet with an Ultra 2, you can get a Series 10 and it'll be even bigger and it'll be fantastic, I guess. The charging is a lot better. It's got a great watertight layer, and it's also supposed to be thinner. So maybe that'll make it less chunky, but I did feel like it was a distractingly large thing to see strapped on all the people's arms that were presenting when I was watching the event. They've gone to titanium instead of stainless steel, and the titanium colors are like natural titanium, and then silver and rose gold. Some of the neural network stuff is supposed to make it so that it'll process background noise better. So if you really do enjoy going full Dick Tracy and taking calls on your phone, you can do that. And it's supposed to help like block the wind and other things going on in the background. The smart stack is supposed to be even smarter. The real interesting thing that I think is coming to the 10 as well as the 9 and the Ultra 2 is the sleep apnea detection, which I think is going to be really interesting. They were talking about that being imminent because they don't have it completely FDA approved yet, but it'll be a thing that sort of like the AFib and the heart rate stuff that you can do with your watch already, where it will say, this is a thing that perhaps we've detected and maybe you should talk to your doctor about something. So I thought that was kind of an interesting idea because it's getting to be more and more of a health-based device. By the same token, they talked a lot about some of the updated activity stuff. There's depth automatically, I think, or it was something that is a feature on, I know, the Ultra. The Tides app is coming to the watch, and that's going to be cool. The Ultra 2 now comes in black, and you can get an even fancier band for it if that's your thing. Pretty much everything is pre-order as of Monday, and then will come out on September 20th. It will be released officially September 20th. The AirPods, the mere mortal AirPods, like these, well, sort of like these, the little white ones, not the Maxes, but basically some of the others got updates. The regular AirPods that don't have the ear tips on them are now in their 4th iteration, so they're like the 4th gen AirPods. They have better sound quality, the stems are shorter, the case has USB-C, and you can either get AirPods or you can get AirPods with noise cancellation. So I think that's going to be a huge feature for a lot of people who don't like the seal and the fit of like the in-ear, and maybe the in-ear tips don't fit very well or have had, they're uncomfortable for some folks. And so this way there's still at least some sort of noise cancellation you can get with that. The H2 chip, which the AirPod Pros have, which is super great because there's a little speaker in the case, so you can use it for the Find My, and the Find My is pretty accurate with it. Ask me how I know. And the adaptive audio in them looks really cool, and there will be gestures. So if you're walking, the demonstration was somebody walking down the street and had bags in both hands, their hands weren't free, and the phone rang and it said somebody was on the phone, and the person nodded his head and it answered the call for him, and that was pretty neat. It's sort of like the pinch gesture on the watch where, you don't necessarily have to interact with the device itself in order to get it to do the thing that you want it to do. It will also have wireless charging. You can use the watch charger disc, or you can use a plain old Qi charger. They'll be $129 or $179 if you want the noise canceling version. And then the Maxes went USB-C, and you can get them in different colors. That's really the only update. They are still $549. And if you have the ones I actually do have, which is the version 2 of the AirPod Pros, there's a hearing protection option within those. And they're going to offer, it's coming soon. And in fact, I think today, I think some people were reporting they were seeing the software update for this today, that you're able to get a clinically validated hearing test through your pros. If you do the fit test and you get a good fit, it will do a hearing test, and then you can take the information from that hearing test and apply it to the hearing aid feature, and it will tailor to you, so that if really the problem that you have is when there's a certain amount of background noise, you can't hear a conversation, then it'll tailor to that. And so then you can put them in and turn them on, and it'll enhance conversation between you and the person that you're talking to, or the people that you're speaking to. And then, and the hearing aid part sounds really interesting. They said it's coming this fall. So there's software updates that are coming with some of the noise protection, hearing protection stuff, but the hearing test, I think, is coming later. And that looks very cool, because I know a lot of people who would really be well served by a little bit of that, not necessarily having to go and get fitted for a hearing aid, but occasionally going out somewhere and it's kind of like the background's kind of loud or something, and being able to hear people better would be really nice.
Hey,
So,
Kelly, the sound canceling thing sounded pretty cool, because I've got these big old sound canceling things I wear on the airplanes, but it'd be nice to have that available. I was wondering with the hearing aid, if it'll look like you have iPods in all the, iBuds, whatever they call them.
AirPods.
AirPods,
Yeah.
like it'll look like you're
Yeah.
listening to a podcast all the time, and people won't even talk to you because they'll think that you're listening to a podcast.
Yeah, that is the one thing I'm worried about, because one thing I always liked about my headphones was, like, if I'm riding the bus or something, I would put them in. And even when I rode the bus all the time, there were days where maybe I wasn't listening to anything, but I'd put the headphones in and stick the cord in my pocket just so I wouldn't necessarily get bothered by people on the bus. And this is sort of encouraging people to do that. I'm sort of hoping, like, maybe you can put one in and maybe it'll still work if you're only wearing one or something like that. Maybe it would be a little better. But mostly what I appreciated about it was, I think, like, in my as my friend John Martellero likes to say, the plural of anecdote is not data. But I know a lot of people who would be very well served by having a slight enhancement by maybe putting one AirPod in or putting them in to be able to hear things once in a while, who wouldn't necessarily go all the way to, I'm going to go make a doctor's appointment and sit somewhere for a while and then go talk to somebody who, I barely ever see, and tell them I can't hear and get fitted for a hearing aid and go through all of the gyration of having all of that happen. Like, I know a lot of people who I'm going to put my AirPods in, would make a huge difference just in the quality of life, because they may never be people who think they need it, or might even think they need it, but like it's too big a hassle because I know someone who went through it and it was a giant pain or whatever.
Well, you
and
can
so
go to
just
Costco.
Giving people some enhancement. Yeah.
Costco has a hearing room and does testing, but I think you're right. Having a testing you can do in the privacy of your own home to see if you're really missing sounds.
And I would like to think if somebody did it and it was serious enough that maybe they would take it in, and go, oh, well, while I'm here, have you seen this sleep apnea thing that my watch can do now? Take care of all of it at once, right? So I hope that this is just one of those quality of life things, sort of like generally people get, a little bit more active when they first get an Apple Watch and it tells them to stand up at 10 to the hour all the time. Maybe they get up and walk around a little bit they get a little more activity in their day. I'm hoping that this is just sort of one of those kind of slight improvement sorts of things that makes a difference for a lot of people.
Yeah, I have
That's my hope anyway.
fitted hearing aids that I actually got at Costco, and they worked fine. But one thing that's kind of disappointing about them is that they don't really work well with music, and so the AirPods AirPod Pros look interesting if you get the hearing aid benefits and still work better with music, because the fitted hearing aids have basically no low frequency response. So listening to music and even listening to podcasts isn't all that pleasant.
Yeah. And they did say it will apply to anything that you listen to. You have the option to apply it to music, apply it to conversation, apply it to podcasts, whatever. So I think once it's available and we can walk through it and kind of see what's what, that'll be nice. If you are in the market for a new pair of AirPods, whether they are pros or not, I'm here to tell you, when I got these, I got them last fall, and having everything use USB-C to charge is magical. When you get to the point where you don't have to remember that other cable, as long as you have the one for your computer and you're solid, it's so good. Because I got a 15 Pro, so my phone uses C, my AirPods use C, my laptop uses C. It's fantastic. I cannot recommend this lifestyle highly enough. Only having to have that one cable for everything is so nice.
So can the batteries
and also the wireless charging is great too.
Can the batteries be replaced on the AirPods, or do you just have to throw them out once you wear out the rechargeable battery?
Yes and no. I don't think they are user replaceable, but there's a place, PodSwap, I think it's called, like podswap.com, something like that. And they're a company that will take them in, and like you can sort of exchange them. And so if the battery is shot in yours, let's see, then if the battery's shot, you can send yours in. They will refresh them, and then they sell the used ones, with a refurb battery in them, and they're pretty neat. I can't remember I think it was like podswap.com or something like that, and there are places that will do it and kind of refurb them for you, so that there is that does help, and I really like mine. It's and the noise cancellation, if you have an old pair of original Pros and the battery's shot or something, you can go through something like PodSwap, or you can like if you upgrade the noise cancellation. I thought the noise cancellation was great in my old ones, and they started misbehaving, so that's why I picked up a new pair, and it's dramatically better. That, like, I was really surprised how much better it was, because I thought it was pretty great beforehand, and it's even better than that now. I can wear these on airplanes also, because with the big over ears, I used to use those for noise cancellation, and they would give me a headache because of the pressure change. It like really affects some people, and apparently I am the some percent. So it would always really bother me. I'd get off the plane and I'd feel terrible if it was more than like an hour or so. So but with AirPods, I can wear them, and the noise cancellation is great. And when I get off the plane, I don't have a headache, and it's really nice. So,
Kelly.
Dawn, did you have a question? Sorry. Nancy, I'll get you in just a second. Yes, Dawn.
I've had trouble keeping the buds in my ears. I've gone through a couple of generations of the Apple earbuds, the wired ones. And I went through a couple of different models of third party. And especially out of my right ear, everything keeps falling out. And, these other places say, guaranteed that they'll stay in. Wrong. That doesn't happen. So if I was to go ahead, that's why I'm leery about spending the money on the wireless earbuds or AirPods, whatever you want to call them, from Apple, to be sure that I'm not going to be dropping, $125 on the floor once and crack it open and I'm done, because I've done that before. And I don't want to waste my money on that. So I wanted, who would I have to see to make sure that I have a proper fit? Because like, those sizes for the little bells, small, medium, large, extra small, that kind of, I don't know what I use. I've tried a couple of them and I don't see any difference.
Well, I have good news for you and potentially bad news for you. I think there's probably a solution for you if you get the pros. I will tell you that the regular AirPods, the shape is a little different again, which may help. But also, I do not use the tips that came from Apple with my AirPods, with my Pros. I Comply Foam makes some that are squishy foam that a lot of people use, like for like musicians will use Comply Foam earplugs or around their in-ear monitors, because you squish them a little bit and put them in and they kind of expand back again, sort of like memory foam to kind of give you a good seal. I have a couple others that I rotate through pretty regularly, depending on like what I'm up to and what I'm doing when I'm using them. If I'm just sort of sitting here recording and I'm not very active in what I'm doing, then I'll leave these on. But when it's peak lawn mowing season and I want to be wearing them outside and I'm driving the lawnmower around behind, then usually what I end up with there is something that seals a little better than like the ones I have in now. Like if I was out mowing with these, maybe it would fall out. But a thing that may help is so you can buy additional tips from lots of other companies, but Comply is one that I know that is very well made. Chargen makes CHARJEN makes some that are foam inside, but they're silicone outside, so they don't get like earwax and grubby and stuff. Because like the Comply foam is a definite, like there's a finite life on how long that foam looks like something that you want to stick in your ear, because you can only clean it so much before it just doesn't, I will be diplomatic about this, before it loses its appeal. So there's sort of a lifespan on those. There's some that are made of silicone, but you could probably try, at least for fitment, if you're just looking for like, what size should I even be looking for? Earplugs, like get a set of earplugs from Amazon, some of the ones that say that they're like for concerts and things, so that you should be able to hear, but it's like everything's turned down a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. The Loop, I think, is one of the companies, but a lot of them have adjustable sizes in them, and you can do that for like $15 to maybe $30. You could get a set of those and see like, oh, you know what? I thought the reason they were falling out is because my ears are gigantic, but it turns out like it's actually they're extra small, and like this has just been pushing out of my ear and not, I put it in and it fell out because it was way too big or way too small or whatever. That might help you narrow in on the size that you need. And then most of the places that sell tips will sell like here's a set of mediums, like we'll give you 2 sets of medium or something. And then some will give you like a variety pack. You can get small, medium, large, or medium, large, extra large, or extra small, small, medium. And you can get kind of a variety and get a feel for it that way. And the other thing I would recommend is I will go out on a limb and say that some of these features will probably come to something like the Beats Fit, which are true wireless, but those come with a little fin on the top that sort of latches into the top fold on your ear and will hold in better. And nearly every person I know who said from the wire, from the pack-ins with my original iPhone up to the latest Pros, anything I put in my ear, as soon as I tilt my head to the side, it pops right out. I know a lot of people who got, I think it's the Fit Pro, I'm going to double check that, but I think it's Beats Fit Pro, that are wireless, they're noise canceling. The same idea, there's a little case, you put them in the case, they, charges up, the case does wireless charging, that kind of stuff. And the Beats Fit Pro, they're $199, Apple makes those too. And I know a lot of people who use those, they do spatial audio, all the connect to all your other stuff, like, like it's a piece of cake. active noise cancellation. You can get pink ones, Don. So,
Hey,
you know,
I got these red what are they? Raycon?
Raycons. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I have a pair of those.
They'll hook into the front of your ear. But after a
Yeah.
while, they started falling out, and once they start falling out, you're not keeping them in. So
Yeah.
well,
So-
thank you.
Yeah, the Beats Fit. I know a lot of people who are really happy with the Beats Fit. Yes, Ginger.
maybe I've got a really old AirPod, but where do you attach these extra little things so that you can still? Because my AirPods are kind of molded, and it's it's one body thing, and it's all plastic.
Mhm.
So where do you
well, for the-
attach these other things so that you can actually have AirPods?
Well, with the Pros, there's the ear tip. This bit here.
And you can substitute other
And
things
so,
there.
yeah, I can pop that off
thank
and
you.
put a different thing in there.
And
But that's
there's
only on the
there's a link
Pros.
that Nathan put in the chat that kind of shows one of those things with the little
Yeah.
hook.
Yeah, and those are usually it's like a silicone sleeve that fits around it, and those are handy, but they don't fit in the case. So you have to put them on and take them off every time you want to use them. Because every time they go back in the case to charge, you have to take the thing off because it doesn't close, and it usually covers part of the stem, so it doesn't make contact very well. Let's see. There was a company that made one that I used, and there was one that I had for a while that I liked that it was like it hooked over the top of your ear, like over here, and then it just slid onto the stem, and then it would just sort of hang there and just help you with that. And they were sort of a nice balance of it's not a huge hassle to put them on, and it definitely helps keep them from falling off, because if it falls off your ear, you know, it's hooked over the top of your ear, you will definitely feel if that's gone. So that was sort of helpful. But a lot of times it's really just a matter of finding what fits. And Dawn, maybe for you, like the fact that the stems are shorter and they're a little bit lighter may help keep them in better. The angle on the speaker part is also a little different on those. But also, like I know AirPods are available at Costco, and they do have a nice return policy, so you could always get them and try a couple of sets of ear tips from someplace or another and return them if it didn't work out. So at least you don't have to figure out like what to do with these AirPods that don't work for you. So
Thanks.
and I don't know if they sell Beats Fit at Costco, but I would say that would be another viable option, because I know a lot of people who had trouble with it have not had trouble with the Beats version with the little fin in the front. So yeah. So that's pretty much it for the AirPods. Does anybody have any watch questions? Bueller.
I just thought it was kind of weird that when they talked about the Ultra, even though all they did was make it a black one, but they called it an Ultra 2 instead of going to the Ultra 3, since they didn't do anything.
Well, yeah, the rest of it's not materially different. So I think that's probably why it didn't get a revision. But yeah, I sort of wondered why they did it instead of just making that the Ultra 3 thing. Like, oh, if you have a black one, that's the version 3. Like with, I can't remember when it was, but there was a point where like the dot changed color on the side of the doll, and that was how you knew you had the oxygen sensor or something. And so I figured it would be something like that. So when they talked about the new Ultra, I was like, oh, maybe we're gonna get a 3. Let's see what that is. But apparently that wasn't the case. So I did think that was a little odd, but
That was interesting.
yeah, it was a different thing. So I think instead of just running down a bunch of stuff for iPhones, I will let you all ask me questions about them. I'll give you the high level. There's a 16, there's a 16 Plus, and a Pro and a Pro Max. They're each, the technical term is a skosh bigger diagonally for each of them, like 0.2 of an inch, I think, on across the board. You get a new button. The 15 got the action button. The new one gets camera control. And the Pros are all made of titanium and almost a color. The 16s come in great colors. And that's kind of the biggest stuff for most of that. Yes, Ginger.
So I've got a 13 mini because I like the small form factor. I couldn't tell when they had sort of a regular and then a bigger. How does that compare to a 13 mini? I mean, are they gonna are they gonna use the mini form factor, but they're just not gonna call it a mini because it's too confusing with the Mac Mini, or what?
No. That's a good question because I know a lot of people who are Team Mini, like very much enjoy using the phone one-handed, and it doesn't. You can't really do that with the other ones. So let me look because I will compare. There's a spot where you can like compare the two, and so I want to see if I can check that out because there's with the comparison you can tell kind of what the screen sizes are because I want to say on the mini it's 5.7 inches across. I'm not 100% on that and I'm waiting for there we go. Okay, we go 13 mini, and I will say the plain 16 because we'll see where that gets us. 5.4 for the mini. I was really close. 5.4 inches diagonally for the mini, and it's 6.1 for the 16, the regular 16. And in this case, the Pros are bigger. A lot of times, like the regular model is a size, and then the Pro was like a little more compact, but then the Pro Max was way bigger. So the advice I give everybody, if you're looking at a phone, if you're considering a phone, is to go somewhere where they sell them and put it in your hand and see what you think about it, see how you feel about it, both for how it feels in your hand and how it feels to your eyeballs. Because I know a number of people who said, I'll never have a Pro Max phone. That's way too much phone. Who needs to measure their screen by the acre? And then they got a good look at it and went, oh, I do. That will be me. So I know a lot of people, especially if your eyeballs are honored citizens and like to eat dinner at 4 o'clock, then yeah, it's definitely a thing a lot of people appreciate. So I know a lot of folks who moved to a Pro, moved to a Plus or moved to a Pro Max just to get a little more space and be able to read things a little nicer. Yes, Tom.
It seems to me that they have completed the transition from a phone that had a camera, and now it's a camera that has a phone.
I think they completed that at like the 12, when I could take a picture with the moon in it and it didn't look like there was just some weird lighting happening in the sky, and I could take a picture of a full moon and it would be a full moon. That was the moment. I remember, I think it was the 5S was the first time I took a picture of a document and mailed it to somebody and emailed it to someone, and that counted. They didn't realize it wasn't something I had scanned with an actual big flatbed scanner, and it was just a picture I took with my phone and sent them. It's been going that way for a long time. Mine, usually what drives my upgrade is the camera piece, the low light or the computational. I was saying before we started the official part of the program that I went to Bend this last weekend, and I went there for a concert, and the pictures I got in the dark, flashing lights, and the video I got where lights are flashing, but you can see everybody on the stage. It's really clear. I can play it on my great big TV on the other side of the wall, and it looks amazing, and it's in my pocket. And that bit is still blows my mind all this time. And they just continue to improve it in a lot of interesting ways. That's the other thing that's kind of neat about it. one of the things they mentioned this time is that these are now ACES compliant, which is Academy Color Encoding System. Like what the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, who gives out the Oscars, they have sort of standards for how things should be in video, and the 16 Pro will do that in your pocket. The thing you play Candy Crush on is like will do Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences level production work with that device.
I think what's really interesting is that I think for the last this keynote, the last keynote or two, been completely shot with phones.
Yes. Yeah. And people say, oh, but that's cheating because they had a huge lighting rig and they had the frame for the phone to, put it on a tripod and used it like it was a professional device. Well, yeah. And, when people sort of complain about that stuff, I always kind of wonder about it because if everything else about shooting this particular video is professional level, why would you expect anything else why would you expect any of the other pieces of that production to change? All they did was get a different camera. There were always going to be big lights. There was always going to be, the bounce card over on the side and somebody with a microphone over here, whatever other stuff that they would have done anyway with a great big camera. They did all of those things. And then they just got this, all they did was swap out the camera that they were using. And it's, I think it's amazing they do that.
I thought the cutest thing was the little mini umbrella over the camera in the rain scene.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh,
yeah.
Everyone else is getting wet, but there's this little tiny black umbrella over the camera.
Yeah. Because in that particular moment, the effect they were looking for was not the rain-streaked lens, which sometimes they do, and that's a different story. And it was interesting to watch that. And now I just want to go check out that video by the weekend because the song was super catchy. And I want to know how the video turned out. Now that we've seen little bits of it being shot, I want to see the whole thing. So that was kind of a good advertisement, I suppose. The other thing that was interesting about
what video was it?
The artist, he goes by The Weeknd is when you go to look for it on Apple Music or whatever, it's The Weeknd.
The Weeknd is the artist. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the guy. His name is Abel. Abel Tuff. His last name starts with a T, and I can't think of it because he's The Weeknd. I put it on my phone, play Weeknd, it does it. A couple of other interesting things with audio, which I think is really the big, it's always like I said, I'm always a person who's sort of camera upgrade driven, but the audio stuff in the 16 is very cool in that if you're shooting video, there are a few modes for the audio. So it will record, it will pay more attention to the people in the frame and get their audio, or you can have it with if there are people talking behind you. They were showing shooting a piece of content for something. There are a couple of people at a lunch counter, and there were people talking in the background like it was a video production. And so they showed here's the mode where it only captures the people talking in front of you, and here's the mode where it captures everything around you as well as the people talking, and you can adjust that. And that was pretty interesting. And now voice memos, you can have it playback while you're recording yourself singing to it or whatever at the same time. And that was pretty interesting to see the capability there. I still can't have it record record a Zoom call and record my microphone at the same time, but they'll save that for the 17, so then I have to upgrade, right?
Well, the thing that I didn't see any mention of it, but it seems like the 16 Pro would probably, I would be surprised if they didn't have an SDK or a software development kit where you can plug into the phone and then completely control it from a laptop or a desktop. In other words, you could tell it, oh yeah, I want, you want the aperture settings, the sound configuration. In other words, everything's controlled like you could have a 16-inch MacBook Pro, Apple Silicon, of course, with the appropriate software suite, and you could totally control either one or more of these cameras. You could have the camera operator out there doing things, and completely control it from the director's position. And they don't say anything about that, but it seems obvious that would be a feature that should be there.
It may be. I know that Camera Kit is a thing that has been discussed at Worldwide Developers Conference. And part of the reason I know that is because I remember speaking to the people who did Filmic. Because Filmic Pro has a remote option, so you can like you can set up whatever you want to set up to record, and like you could tell it. Like I remember I had it for my watch, and you could tell it, or on your iPad, and you can say, okay, use the front camera on the 15. Now switch to the back camera. Now switch to the telephoto lens. Now zoom in, and you could do all of that from another device.
Right.
And that, like, at a minimum, there's a number of things like that work that way. And so I think there's probably a lot of possibility there, and especially when you can tap into shooting at 4K 120, and you get to apply effects to that after the fact, which was the other thing that was kind of cool. Because I always wanted to play with the slow motion stuff, but you kind of had to, if you didn't do it at the time, then you kind of couldn't do it at all. And so being able to go in later and go, oh, that's the piece I want to be slow motion, is going to be pretty neat. Like you can now, when they initially announced like portrait mode and key light and all those different things, if you didn't do it at the time, you couldn't do it at all. And now they've got the capability where you can do that after the fact. I took it in portrait mode, but really I think using this other option gives me makes a better photo. And so I'm going to use that instead. Those options I think are really nice.
That's interesting. So when you shoot, is the compression algorithm that they use competent enough to where you can do post-processing, but it would seem like it seems like almost like they're shooting almost in raw mode. And then you have the entire capability. In other words, you've got every pixel, everything's there, and you can twist it around any way you like because you've got all the source material. That's my take on it. And the other thing too, I would think that there would be a way to pipe the video out so that you don't overflow the memory in the camera or the storage in the camera. That's the thing, is I would think you could pipe it off into a gigantic SSD. And then,
once again, the magic of the USB-C port is you can poke hard drive in there, and they make enclosures that are MagSafe. So I could get a terabyte SSD, flap it in a MagSafe enclosure, stick it here, plug it into the bottom, and then go put this on a tripod and go shoot the Weekend's Next music video. I shot some video when I was out. You can shoot at currently on my phone. I have a 15 Pro, and I can shoot video at 4K at 60 frames a second. I can do 24, 30, and 60. And if you do video, then with photos, you can do RAW and you can do RAW Max, and so you can just shoot raw video. And with the 15 Pro, I don't know if the 15 will do it, but the Pro will shoot spatial video, and you can. So if you have wanted to sample that with the Apple Vision Pro, you can shoot spatial video right now with a 15 Pro and see what it looks like on your face computer.
A stupid question, since I don't have one of those devices.
They're not stupid questions.
How does spatial video, because they mentioned that several times, so the audio is one thing, that's one domain, but then you've got the video. How does it differ from just ordinary video? Does it incorporate, so I was looking at a picture just in passing, and they had the Vision, whatever they call it, Vision Pro or whatever.
Vision
and
Pro,
it looked like it had cameras. There were a pair of cameras that almost looked identical to the ones on the phone. They were aiming out from the faceplate so that they capture your immediate surroundings, right? And apparently the video's in post on that. So does the spatial video capture all of the above? In other words, it's your surroundings in addition to the content? Or how does that work?
I think it's just a video. I haven't seen one yet. I have a friend that has an Apple Vision Pro, and I haven't tried the spatial video piece yet, but I think it sort of works like 3D, where like if you move your head a little bit, you can kind of see people shifting, or like the dynamic wallpaper, like when you tilt to the side, you can see like when you had the wallpaper that was bubbles, and you could like tilt to the side and the bubbles would move a little bit. I think it's like that. I'm not sure, but I will confirm that and find out.
I think on the phone,
Peter.
So again,
one of the people from the London Mac user group that's in the know said yesterday that with the new Pro model, using the highest resolution stuff and the fastest speeds and everything, you have to use an SSD card. You cannot do it to the memory in the phone.
Yeah. That's the thing. So I think the data rate is so high. And as you point out, it's capturing not only, well, in other words, it is, in a manner of speaking, it really is giving you a 3D view. That's the thing. I saw the
cameras in the phone simultaneously.
Yeah, it's interesting.
There's enough separation in the lenses to give you the depth perception.
Yeah, that's the thing. As I was looking, and they had sort of a close up of the Vision Pro, and I just happened to notice, because of the way it was shot, that it looked below, like on your cheek area, it looked like there were a pair of lenses on it. There was one on one side, and I assume there's another on the other side, and that would give you true stereoscopic vision. In other words, so you're capturing the video feed from this whole thing.
I think there's a display inside for each eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, that's really crazy. Well, you can see why these things cost, what is it, like $3,000 a pop or whatever?
$3,500, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Well, for certain kinds of things, I understand doctors are really eating up with this stuff, because people like radiologists and stuff, and it really gives them a great way to visualize things.
Yeah, one of the things about the Vision Pro, when it made its debut and I was watching the event, it reminded me a lot of the iPad event, in that I couldn't see all the ways people were going to use it, but I could see the possibility that was there for people. Like, I know photographers who are going to have a great time with this display that's more than the little LCD on their camera, but not, I have to haul around a giant computer in order to get to show this to people. And the possibilities of what you could do if you have the kinds of options that device would afford you. And I think it's really just going to take time, and Apple releasing the Apple Vision Air or the Apple Vision SE or whatever they want to call it, that maybe doesn't cost so much, it doesn't quite do everything, to get exposure and get a lot more people interested and involved in and thinking about it and developing things for it. The pieces of it are really interesting. There's potential there that I think is like the sky's the limit. It's really untapped.
It strikes me they're really smart, because they rolled out the really expensive one first. And it strikes me that instead of rolling out a lower cost product and then you don't have any content, conversely, this way you'll have a lot of content. And then when you roll out the less expensive ones, all of a sudden it'll be like, holy moly, look at all this great stuff there is. So, yeah.
Yeah. Because once you get one, then like all that stuff is out there already, because people have had time to develop before it was a thing that you went to buy. So I think it's going to be interesting to see where it goes as it continues to evolve. The first iPad, when the first iPad shipped, it didn't have a camera. iPad 1 didn't even have a camera on the back. I don't use it very often, but sometimes when I need it, it's really great that it's there. Speaking of document scanning, that's like the most common use I think I have for mine, is scanning documents and stuff. But there's a whole lot of potential to it. And I think with the Apple Vision Pro, it's going to be the same sort of thing, as people sort of get accustomed and understand what it is and what it can do, and what opportunities there are. Because like when I look at it, I'm going to see a certain set of things. And when you look at it, you've led a different life and you're going to see different things. And, when Nathan looks at it, he's going to see something different. And so like, I think it ends up being sort of the kind of thing where like whatever you bring to it is going to be that. And there's going to be somebody who's a really clever developer who says, what would be cool if we could do this is ... And that person's going to be, when they added the gyroscopes in the iPhone 3G, in the when you could tilt it sideways and it knew it was sideways, that kind of stuff. And it had the motion sensors in it. And so like immediately somebody put out a Super Mario Brothers app. So you would jump and it would go ba-ding, like you jump in Super Mario Brothers. And somebody had one for like, that would make lightsaber noises, which is of course the first app I installed on my 3G was the one that made it make lightsaber noises. And when you waved it around, it would go, vroom, vroom, it was great. And like Bump, there was an app that like, if you opened it and I opened it and we went like this, with our phones gently, then like it would swap contact information with people. And like people who think about something in a creative way like that, there's going to be something like that for the Vision Pro. And that's going to be the thing that will start kind of getting people more interested in getting more attention to it, I think.
Hmm.
Let's see. There was the other thing I thought was interesting was the satellite service options that they said were coming. The emergency SOS now can have live video, might be an option depending. So you can show video of like, this is where I am, or this is what happened and I need help, that kind of thing. Messages via satellite is coming in the United States. It will be in more places later. The satellite service also has more coverage. There are places still where it doesn't work, but there are going to be more places where it will. And the roadside assistance via satellite has launched in the US, and it's going to come to the UK next year. And the things that take advantage of satellite features are really nice if you live in a place where it can be aggressively rural and you don't always know if you're going to have cell coverage. I've been in that situation, and it's kind of scary when something happens and you need help.
Do you have any idea which satellite is it? Inmarsat or do you know what satellite service it's going to? Which one are they?
I want to say it's GLONASS satellites, but I'm not 100% on that. I think it is. Because they were buying time on a separate satellite network. And the other thing they still haven't done is mentioned if it's ever going to be a thing that you end up having to pay for. So it started with the 14, I think, that you could get SOS via satellite. And then there was SOS via satellite, and then like I have it on my phone on my 15 Pro, but I think when they rolled it out initially, it was like, it'll be free for at least the first 2 years, and they kind of haven't said anything about it since. So I don't know if it's a thing that's going to just be like, congratulations, your iPhone just has it till it can't, or something. So I'm not sure about that piece of it. Because it was like one casual mention, like I don't even know how many events ago now. So I'm not sure how that's going to shake out. But the fact that they continue to expand the satellite features is really nice. Around here, there are a lot of places where there's just no coverage of any kind. It doesn't matter what you have. You have T-Mobile, you have no coverage. You have AT&T, you have no coverage. You have Mint, you have Verizon, you have whatever. Congratulations, you have no coverage in this particular spot where we are. And so having the messages via satellite, or being able to send your location via satellite if you need something is super, super helpful.
It's pretty amazing, really, that the antenna in a cell phone can actually get to a satellite. That's really impressive.
If you just stand outside and wait, and it works itself out, it borders on magic.
Oh, I wonder, if you're actually doing much communications with the satellite, I wonder what your battery lifetime is like. They have to crank the
That's a good
transmitter.
question.
They didn't. I mean, these are all things that'll come out in the future, but typically you've got to crank, crank some power to get out.
Yeah, I'm sure there's people who've used it who might have reported back like, I tried it out and this is what I got or whatever. So I haven't seen any of that, but it would be interesting to know.
You know that the more dire your circumstances for needing to do that, the shorter your battery life is. So.
Oh, 100%. Yes. Yeah. That's why I always have a battery. It doesn't matter where I am. It doesn't matter where I'm going. It doesn't matter how long I'll be gone. I always have a battery. Yeah. Because I don't want to be that person. So, because I would end up in that situation. I don't want to be there. So I always want to make sure that I'm covered, whatever it is. So, did anyone have any other questions about the stuff at the event? Who else getting a new phone? Oh, silence. No new phones. Okay.
I'm waiting for the 20 to come out. I have to skip a generation or two.
I'm waiting for the next mini size.
Yeah, that I was watching.
Yeah.
I was watching to see if they were going to tack on a mini announcement on the end, but no.
Yeah, because there wasn't a 14 and there wasn't a 15. So maybe next year, Ginger. I have a couple of friends who are sitting right next to you in line. So yeah.
Will there be an SE4?
That's a good question. That's usually a mid-cycle thing. That's like a February kind of a thing. We also didn't get anything that was product red, and I don't know if the partnership has ended or if they just haven't announced them yet, or if that's going to be a mid-cycle thing too, because I know a couple times they've done just new colors. Like I think it was 11 where like in the spring it was like, oh, now you can buy a purple one also or something. I think there were a couple of times where that happened. So maybe it'll just be a mid-cycle thing. I'm not sure.
I got the purple because I could not get the red again. They weren't doing it for the higher level devices.
Yeah. Yeah, I really hope they have a red one next year because my the phone I use for work is a red iPhone for that reason. It's the emergency phone. And when my 11 finally gives up the ghost and next year I can't update it to the next version of iOS and I have to get a new one, I really need there to be a red one so that I can keep having a red work phone. Is anyone going to get a new watch?
You could put a red case on your phone.
Yeah, it's not the same. But that's probably what I would end up having. That's probably what I would end up doing. So.
Yeah, I can't see spending the money for a new iPhone when most of the features are designed for professional videographers. And that's not what I'm doing.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I think they're upping people's photo game as a general overall kind of thing, but they do that every time. The other stuff that I think is interesting is the satellite stuff, and some of it's going to be software. So some of the things they were showing off were just things that you'll be able to do in iOS 18, like cleaning up stuff in Photos, having a more custom Photos app experience. It's not just recents and then having to make a bunch of separate albums by hand and things like that. They did talk about the assistant getting a lot smarter. Hopefully Apple Intelligence will help with that. And I liked, battery life is always better. And I think some of the other pieces of it were some of the AI, like the intelligence stuff, like having them talk very clearly about it. The stuff that you send out is never stored, and they are available to be reviewed by independent reviewers to make sure that all the privacy stuff that they're saying is true. And a lot of that I think was nice to see. And yeah, the battery always gets better, the camera always gets better. I did like you touch the little groove on the side for the camera control. If you touch it, it brings up the camera, and if you touch it again, it'll just take a picture. And I liked that was really, really efficient. So that would be a nice thing, even if I'm not doing pro level video work, and I'm basically never doing pro level video work. Being able to like take a picture really quickly and things like that, it would be a nicer experience overall. So I hope it.
So for you,
I hope it works
is there
out.
a compelling reason to upgrade to the new one?
No, I gotta, because I have mine's only a year, not even a year old. It's okay. You're still pretty. I still love you. You're my favorite. I have to be nice to my phone. The one I have, I love. I love the 15 Pro. I love the USB-C. The camera is amazing. If you're not necessarily interested in the intelligence pieces of it, and if you're Tom and you're not using the pro level stuff because you're not shooting things that you're submitting to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, then you have an excellent chance at like you can get a 15 and they're not it'll be cheaper than it was last year, and you could still get a significant upgrade depending what you're coming from. And if nothing else, you would get USB-C charging and the action button, and both of those are pretty nifty, but like the camera is really impressive. So I always like getting the new camera, but this was probably I had a 12 Pro before this, and going from the 12 Pro to the 15 Pro, even though I loved my 12 Pro and it was great and I loved the camera in it, it was really impressive, the difference between the 12 and the 15. And the new one is a 48 megapixel camera. 48 megapixel.
Better get a big hard drive.
Yes. And don't turn on RAW unless you mean it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you got to be sincere about that.
Yeah.
But it like as an upgrade, like everything else about it is just pretty nice overall. And like if you have, I would say if you're on a 12 or older, and you're not necessarily interested in it being the latest and greatest, give the 15 of your choosing a good long look, because it's still an absolutely worthwhile upgrade. eSIM is nice. Like I said, the charging is nice, and it's also faster charging because it'll do the 15 watt if you have something that has the throughput for it. And especially if you have a phone that maybe the MagSafe wasn't so great on, or you had one like my 11 will do wireless charging, but it's not MagSafe. And so like the MagSafe upgrade for that one someday I didn't realize how spoiled I was by it until I realized that I was always setting that on something and then realizing it wasn't actually MagSafe. And it's kind of rough sometimes, but those, like, if those are things that you don't have already, those are things that are really nice in the newer models, and you don't have to get, I am a firm believer in paying for the tools that you need, and I'm a firm believer in laying out the cash for something that you use all the time, but I'm also a firm believer in not paying for more than you need. So if you're not looking at Apple Intelligence, if the camera control thing isn't for you, if you're not recording voice memos and wanting to play them back and layer them with other audio or, any of that kind of stuff, then look at a 15, because they still sell it and it's still a great phone, and you might get way more storage. The action button, like I said, is really nifty, and it can be an upgrade in a lot of ways depending on what it is you've got already.
I just noticed something new on my phone, and I got not the one before the new one. That's
15.
the phone I have. And there's that you can make your screen go sideways.
Oh yeah.
Now in Zoom. So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Y'all were talking about submitting tips earlier, and I'll give you all one that I love, because there's so many little things in iOS and in macOS, and you don't always know, and you forget, like, even if you did know, oh yeah, that's right, that's a thing. So how many people here, give me a show of hands, how many of you have an Apple Watch? Okay, so how many of the people who have an Apple Watch, whether it's favorite or most used, you spend a lot of time tapping that phone thing and making it make the noise to find out where you set your phone down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you hold down on that, your phone will make noise and the flash will flash.
Oh.
So if you are a person at my house who happens to not be named Kelly, and you have a black phone, and you put that black phone in a black case, and you put that black case on the seat of your black leather interior automobile, and you can't figure out where your phone went, and you can't hear it because it's in the garage and you are in the house, when you press and hold on that and it starts flashing, it makes it easy to figure out where your phone got off to. So there's my tip.
That's nice to know. I do use Find My Phone on my watch.
Yeah, I use it all the time. It's probably a close second to I use timers constantly. So I'm always picking up my arm and saying set a timer for 10 minutes or whatever. And and using those for all kinds of things throughout the day. So that's usually what I do with mine. Or remind me in an hour, or I will pick an arbitrary time, remind me at 2:00 to whatever it is. So yeah, that's one that I like a lot. And also, if you along the same lines, if you don't always hear the text message alert on your phone or the ringtone alert on your phone, if you have one and it just doesn't quite, like, you've changed it to a few different things and you still can't quite hear it, you can set within the accessibility options, you can set the light to flash when you get a text or when you get a phone call. And my stepdad uses that one. That's probably the thing he will tell you if you ask him about me and what I do. He will go, "Oh yeah, Kelly told me about this thing," because now every time I get a text, the light flashes, because he does wear hearing aids, but he doesn't wear them all the time because he has headphones that he wears that connect to the TV so that he can hear the TV, and he likes to play the TV loud and he likes to watch football. And so now he doesn't have to miss a message from his daughter when they're talking smack about the football game, because he sees the light blink, because he was never going to hear it because he's got like over ear headphones on and it's loud, and he doesn't have his hearing aids in when he's doing that. So now he can see the light flash. And so he knows that somebody is trying to get a hold of him usually to talk about the ball game. So he likes that one a lot. But it's nice if you're in a loud environment a lot, or if you're not always near your phone so you can see it flash like a lot further sometimes than you can hear it. Those are always really handy things. So those are a couple that I always give people, along with when you have time, sit down, sit down with your coffee in the morning, sit down with a glass of wine or a margarita at the end of the day, whatever it is, and pull down and look at the control center on your phone and spend a minute customizing it and go look at the things that you can put there, because there's lots of stuff that you can put there, and it can make the world better when you can just pull down from the top and hit the button for the thing and it happens. And there's a bunch of options in there that you can put, and it's really nice. So that's the thing I tell everybody, because it's different for everybody. You have to figure out what the things are that you will like. Like, I have the magnifier in there and Shazam, and and there's a lot of stuff in there that I don't care about at all that I just removed. And so now it is just the things I want.
And it's only compatible with the new version of the operating system, iOS 17.
No, I have it on 16. I think I have it on 15.
No, I'm saying that the control center is only going to get better with iOS 17.
Oh, yeah, because you can put whatever you want in here, and so mine looks exactly how I want it. So I have the magnifier in there. I have some of the buttons for some of the stuff I turn on and off in my home a lot, because it will shock you all to know I have a whole lot of smart home devices. And so I have a few of those in there that I can hit really quickly, because they're things I turn on and off a lot. I have the remote app for Apple TV. I can hit low power mode. So if I'm out and about and I want to make sure I can still get help via satellite later, I can always throw my phone in low battery really quickly. The magnifier, the screen mirror. I told you, use timers all the time. So I got timers down here in the bottom of the row. And it's once you configure it for what you want, like, a lot of people don't even know that there are options for that. And it's the thing, if you go to the settings app on your phone, it's right underneath general is control center. And you can just scroll through it. And it's a long list of stuff that you can put on there. So there's all kinds of things in there. And then you can look at it and go, well, why is that on there? I never used that for anything. And you can hit the little red minus on the left there and make it bounce down to the bottom of the list, and you don't even have to look at it anymore.
Oh,
it's really
wow.
Nice. Yeah.
That is nice to know.
It's really great. And if you you can put the home app in there. You can put, if you use notes all the time, ping my watch. If you have the opposite problem of everybody a minute ago talking about Find My Phone, there's all kinds of stuff in there. You can zoom text in and out, voice memos. You have a shortcut to voice memos. Like, there's all kinds of things in there that are super handy.
I will go check that
And
out.
if you just, take a little time, figure out what you want it to look like, look at the things that are in there, and don't do it once. See, that's the thing, is then like, set a reminder for yourself to like check in a week and go, yeah, you know what? I thought this was going to be great, but like I never use it. And then take it off and put something else there instead. See what you get that you like. So it's totally worthwhile because it just makes using your phone better when you can get to something more quickly or get to something more easily or find something in there that you didn't know about. Like I've told so many people about doing that so that you can add the magnifier to the control center. And I found out so many people didn't even know that was a thing that was there. And the magnifier is great.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. I will have to go play.
Excellent. All right. I don't remember who it was talking about Matt Geek Gab, but I hope I gave everybody 5 new things, even though I'm not Dave.
You gave us a lot.
Yes, you did.
Well, does anyone have any other questions for Kelly? Seeing none, I want to thank you.
And it doesn't have to be Apple stuff. I'll take Doctor Who questions. I'll take Star Wars questions. I'll take Deadpool and Wolverine questions.
You open it up too wide, we'll be here all night.
Well, if you ask me a Star Wars question, that's on you, and you should know better.
Doctor Who, the latest.
Yes.
The latest Doctor Who is only available for Region 2 on DVDs.
Oh,
we
wow.
need a Region 2 player.
You don't. You need a region-free player, and that's a thing that you can get. They exist.
Where?
If you what's it called? There's is it DVD forum?
Yeah, I think you're B&H.
DVDs are different than Blu-rays. What Tom's talking about is a Blu-ray player.
No, just the website. There's a website where people discuss, and you can just go there and look, and they'll show you. Let's see.
The Sony Blu-ray player said it was region free, and that's a big lie because Sony is the one that owns the rights to it.
Not Sony.
Yeah.
Yeah, never believe Sony.
Yeah. The politicians.
Yeah. I mean, Sony,
it will, this Sony player that we got, this Blu-ray, will play region-free media. However, Sony doesn't sell any region-free media, and it's not very easy to find region-free Blu-ray media.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So that's the catch.
Yeah.
This is a Sony Blu-ray that'll play all regions, but if the media is not all regions, it won't play it. That's the catch.
Yeah. It's DVD Talk was the one I was thinking of. And you may be able to find a lead there. And the other one that I use a lot is AVS forum. So like anytime my husband starts getting the new TV fever, I end up going to AVS forum, and that's usually where all my research starts. And then when we actually get something and bring it home and get it all set up, then I go back to AVS forum and I find the exact model number, and somebody has gone through and fiddled with all the calibration and listed all the settings for that model of TV. And then I can just make sure that my TV looks awesome. So that's my part of it. Those are 2 places I would say to start with finding a region-free DVD player.
You can find a region-free DVD player, okay, but Disney has refused to put out any DVDs any longer of Doctor Who. They only put out Blu-ray. When you only put out Blu-ray, that's the problem.
Well, both of those will tell you about players, though, is my point. They'll tell you about players because nobody who hangs out in those forums got to DVD and went, we're good. No, they did not. So yeah, there's somebody out there that will tell you, and it looks amazing on my 300-inch TV, whatever. So they're very particular about that kind of stuff.
The
We figured we'd
DVD
have to-
stuff, the players were hacked, but they've not been able to hack the Blu-ray players, is what it boils down to.
Yeah,
You
if
can- you can-
anyone
there's a
if anyone
company
knows
in
anything about it,
Minneapolis- There's a company in
Yeah,
Minneapolis that'll change out the board on your Blu-ray player to this hack Blu-ray player board, which will run them. But every time you go on the internet, you go up to Sony, basically, if it's a Sony product, and they will shut you down. They can destroy that little thing that you've paid money for.
Yeah, I've seen stuff bricked.
You're not gonna be watching
but
it, what it's boiled down to.
yeah, but you can also get like you could go on Amazon and buy a dedicated region to like DVD drive. Like you could plug it into your computer. I know somebody that did that.
You can plug it into a computer, but you can't buy. It's illegal to sell it in the U.S. That's region 2.
Yeah.
You can plug it into your computer, however. You can find.
But they are obtainable, and then you can always make the archival copy, which is well within your rights to do. And if you accidentally have the possibility of making that happen so that you can watch it on the TV whenever you want because you found out about something like a Plex server, then that's between you and your media.
Yeah, we figured we're gonna.
I know lots of people who hunt recorded media for sport and have like take something like this and go, "Oh, challenge accepted." So I know lots of people who found ways around this to be with varying degrees of creativity and effort.
We figured we'd have to go to the UK because over there, you can find plenty of Blu-ray players that play all regions, and then just stick one in my bag and bring it home.
Yep. Yeah. That's another way to get it done. That's all I got for that, though.
Well, are there any other questions?
This has been one of the best programs we've had in a long time.
It has been. Kelly, you've done an excellent job. And
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Question that you was asked like it was on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah.
So I think we ought to go ahead and call it quits, and
okay,
we will wrap it up for tonight, and we'll meet again next month. So thank you all for coming.
That's good.
Thank you again, Kelly, for the presentation.
Thanks so much.
And
yeah, thanks a lot for having me. It was fun. Thank you, Nathan.
We'll see you in October.
Sound good.